would it be prudent practice for at least for a dealer who takes in a car of the same manufacturer as the dealers selling new cars to check to see if there are any recalls, in particular safety recalls on the vehicle?
Yes, if we are aware of them. If you are a Ford dealer and you bring in a trade in that is a Ford, we can check, because we're part of the Ford family, to be able to find out if there's a recall on it, and we will fix that.
And a prudent dealer would do that, wouldn't a prudent dealer?
I would say a prudent dealer of the own line make of the trade-in, yes.
So, in essence, what this bill is seeking to require is simply that instead of only checking safety recalls on same make vehicles as the dealer otherwise sells and takes in and sells on a used car basis, that the dealer would go to a database that will be provided through NHTSA to check whether cars not of a make that they otherwise sell as new vehicles have any safety recalls on them. Isn't that all this bill requires?
No, the bill does more than just that, Mr. Dickinson. This bill actually says not only do you have to, well, one, not only do you have to say if you knew or should have known of the recall of whether or not the car is being able to be sold as a certified used vehicle, but in addition, the car actually says that even if the part is not available, which happens frequently, or if there is a recall on that particular car because we are aware of it because the Auto News or other media outlets has reported it, but that particular car's VIN number is in the A through M and not in the N through Z, and the manufacturers are starting with N through Z, that the parts are available for those, not the A through M. So as you can imagine, that it's much more complicated than what you are suggesting.
So is the implication of that then that a Ford dealer who takes in a Volkswagen checks the database and finds that there's a safety recall that without a certain replacement part the accelerator could stick and cause an accident, should be under no obligation, and wouldn't, as a prudent dealer, make sure that they didn't sell that car before they could make that fix?
I'm saying that our dealers would want to get if they know that the database is operational, which is a big question mark at this point. We don't know what the database is going to look like. And if we are aware that there is a particular acceleration issue on that vehicle, and we call another Volkswagen dealer to have it fixed, we would get it fixed. But that's not, the bill does way more than that, Mr. Dickinson. Telling us that, let's say that acceleration, there's a recall on that acceleration part, but that part's not yet available. For example, there's a number of Japanese made cars right now whose airbags have been recalled, yet none of the parts has been made. So what do we do with all Toyotas, Hondas, every Japanese made car? We essentially put this car.
You sell them to people? Is that what you do? You sell a car that you may be unsafe to someone?
But the part isn't available to fix. So is your suggestion, Mr.
Wait. No. Answer the question. Would you believe one of your members would sell a car that it knows is unsafe and subject to a safety recall?
No, I think the answer to that question is no. I think the problem is the no standard, is that we don't know what this database is going to look like, so we're all shooting in the dark here. We want to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at you and talk about the
Don't worry about it. It's the arrangement here. Don't worry.
We are trying to protect customers. CarMax has no objection to what this bill is trying to accomplish. It is simply premature. I think that we have regulations coming out Sunday, as the author stated. Once we know what the database is even going to look like, we will know how we can comply. Our concern is that we're forcing a mandate, but we don't actually know what the solution looks like. We want to solve the problem. We want to make sure that every car that we sell is knowingly safe. But we don't know at this point in time. And the problem is that we don't know what the database is going to look like. We don't know what the language in the bill is even going to look like. And that is, we're jamming a solution through when in reality this should probably be a 2-year bill. Wait the week for the regulation so that we can all solve this problem with a good, well-drafted solution.
Mr. Chairman, I'd love to pursue this. I'm not going to. I think the point here is hopefully clear that any reputable dealer wouldn't sell a car that it knows is unsafe. And this is a bill that would make it the obligation of a dealer to refer to a database that would be available that would identify whether cars were subject to a safety recall that might make the car unsafe. I understand that there's some concern about exactly what that database might look like and how accessible it might be, how usable it might be. But I would also say, having spent some time in this field, that you can get technical service bulletins, recall information, and they are very clear, and they are not hard to understand, and they are very specific about what needs to be done. I assume, and I imagine, the NHTSA database is going to be no less usable and available. But as this bill moves forward, and I hope it does, there's still some time. There's another committee. There's still a floor that gives us an opportunity to make further refinements if it's necessary. And I appreciate the testimony that there's not objection to the objective of this bill, as I understand the opposition. It's more concerns about operationally how it works, and those are things that we can be solving along the way.
Yes.
Instead of taking the risk of people losing their lives.
I might indicate this bill is double referred to Judiciary Committee, so that can be addressed there. But I also just submitted a letter from NHTSA. We asked them whether car dealers currently have access to up-to-date VIN-specific information regarding the safety recall status of used cars. Folks, this stuff is already online. It's been online for a long time. This isn't, oh my goodness, this thing could look like, Daffy Duck on steroids. That's not what this database is going to look like. In fact, you don't even need a database to get this information at this point in time. It's already available. That's what the NHTSA says. It's there. If you plug in the VIN number, you go to Volkswagen, you plug in the VIN number, it will tell you if there's a recall. You call, if you don't know that, you call the phone number that exists for each of the manufacturers. So this isn't a new issue. What we've agreed to do to make it easier is to allow the dealer to go to one place, to this database. Now, the database might end up just giving you links to the phone numbers or to the online information from the various manufacturers. The information, though, is there. And I know this when I went in to look at new cars, if I wanted to customize the color, they were there with a click of the mouse telling me the different blends that I could put together. All we're asking here is that you go to whether or not the car is safe by clicking the mouse on the VIN number. This is not rocket science. This is really just designed, as I think Assemblymember Dickinson said, that it is so easy right now, if you do truly care about the safety of a car and not selling a car that has a known safety problem until it's fixed.